Welcome to coaching, everyone. Good morning. Glad you could be with me this morning in any capacity. I'm glad that we can be together. So, greatest songs of all time. There's a lead in here. No, we're not going to spend the entire time on coaching just playing songs or talking about music. But I was thinking, just getting us warmed up here, what do you think the greatest songs of all time are? Like, hit the chat. What do you think, Cheryl? The greatest song of all time. Like, what do you think of?
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven? Yep. I thought of that one this morning. It's a very well written song, incredibly composed, but I'm actually hate the song. And what? In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
You do.
Yeah, Iron Butterfly. Come on, Will.
But they were so high when they sung it.
Oh.
It came out In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually spelled very
Into
much
Garden
like it
of
sounds.
Eden.
In the Garden of Eden.
In the Garden of Eden. Got it. Okay. Good
So,
one. Wow.
Will, you know that Stairway to Heaven is banned from all music stores.
I do know that.
Yeah, we had a sign up. Dave put a sign up that said no stairway, just like in Wayne's World. It's awesome.
Right.
Here's your intro to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
Nice. All right. Anyone got to get like only what 3 songs here? Us and them. Pour some sugar on me. What do you think, Travis? Hey, come join me, Travis.
Yes.
So, put you on the spot. So,
You got it.
greatest song of all time.
I'm gonna have to go super traditional. Lee Greenwald's
Proud to be an American.
Proud to be an American. There we go. Who said it?
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah,
Right.
so I got my man Travis's back. I thought he was gonna pick Our House, right? Because that's like
I could throw something like that in there, but I heard Stairway to Heaven. I love Stairway to Heaven. I don't know that it's one of the greatest of all times, but what else? What other people saying?
Well, let's see. We got Allison saying anything Fleetwood Mac, The Chain. Oh, The Chain's so good.
That's a good one.
That's a great song. Gold Dust Woman. Yeah.
Anything Beatles? Hey, Sandy's onto something there. There's some good Beatles songs.
well, and yeah, Dr. Visser up in Ogden is doing All Along the Watchtower. So Chris, which version? You got to have the original. That's been remade a few times. Queen, that's another good one.
Let's get back.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks,
Yeah,
Travis.
okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, the DMB, Dave Matthews Band version of that's pretty amazing.
what's your, like, you hit on my favorite artists, like the ones I just really appreciate their ability to write. Obviously, so I think the most popular Rush song would be Tom Sawyer, but my favorite Rush song is Limelight.
Yeah.
And maybe Spirit of the Radio is in there. I kind of go back and forth. They're both very fun to play, and really just great songs.
The Berlin Philharmonic Scorpions Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Oh, come over here,
Yeah.
Kyle. No, come here.
Yeah, Kyle,
So
that's
Kyle says
no Scorpions Rock You Like a Hurricane, but it has to be the one with the Berlin Philharmonic intro. I got you, bro. That's a great song.
That's the one.
I love it. I love Scorpions. Yeah, that was like middle school. So good stuff.
The lead into Jump.
Yeah, Jump, Van Halen. I don't know if Jump is the best Van Halen song,
No.
but it's another good song.
It's almost like you need context, Will. It's like what is the best song given a certain circumstance in your life, or does it pull up like a key memory, or is it one of those got me through something hard, or is it like for you like your Mile 23 song? Like what is there's got to be some context.
Hey, Joe.
Yes,
so
Ann.
I just have to tell you, I just was on Saturday on the Mississippi River on a paddle boat named the Tom Sawyer, and my husband was playing Tom Sawyer Rush soundtrack while we were doing that on Saturday. So that will be a memory I will never forget.
Yeah, see, so it has to be in your list because it's like that's like one of those key, life forming moments.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, now let's be serious a little bit and maybe help our real estate career. You guys ready to pivot? Okay, maybe we can come back at the end if you think of a really good greatest hits. So today is the greatest hits of I want to say of tips. Okay, the greatest tips or the greatest hits that. Hey Joe, I'm wondering. I've got page numbers. Do you think you could run the screen and I give you a page number and you just take us there?
You know, I could.
Okay, so hey, everyone grab a notepad, something to write on. We're kind of all over the place in the manual today, but not exclusively in the manual. I've put together right now, I've got 13, but I reserve the right to add. So as we go and be a little spontaneous, but I'm going to go really quickly through these tips. I think we've done this once or twice, maybe in the last 3 years. But this was like, I was just thinking this morning, there's a lot, I think, that goes into this business, a lot that you want to contemplate. I'm hoping that one or two of these stick out and that you can emphasize it and improve upon it. So this would be what I would call the greatest real estate tips or the greatest hits. Okay.
What's our first one, buddy?
First one, let's show screen, and it's page 205.
205.
Okay, here it is. So no surprise is the first one. This is a sign and it has a question mark, like where will humility take you? So the message here is that everything begins with us being a student and learning and improving. And you can't do that if we're not have humility, right? So we're always learning. And there's the pattern there. Humility leads to learning. Learning leads to following. And following leads to teaching and leading. And when we lead our clients, you can trace that back, that the roots began with humility and learning. That's how we were able to lead them. Okay, so that's number one. Write that one down, humility. Always be a student. Number two is page 193. Okay, we become what we study. This is akin to the humility. We become what we study. So what are you studying? And it's not just studying real estate, but I think when we're in real estate as the, like if I said, what's the greatest Bon Jovi song, like you suggested, like greatest hits Bon Jovi song, I think the greatest Bon Jovi song is Living on a Prayer. But You Give Love a Bad Name ain't bad. And Blaze of Glory is not bad, right? But this one is you become what you study. And you should be studying a variety of things. And I think it's just how to be happy and fulfilled and not overwhelmed and feeling like you're progressing. When your head hits the pillow, no matter what the transaction did, you can always learn something. Okay, so if humility leads to learning, let's make sure we're giving ourselves room to study and learning from things, even say mistakes, okay? Number three, this is kind of related. This one is 204. So page 204. Okay, so if we have humility and we become what we study, then let's try to improve our mornings if we can. Okay, this is the image there is concrete that's been lifted by, it's very, very heavy, but it's been lifted by a tree root. And over time, it did that. And so where would you be if you studied something for 15 minutes, 5 days a week for, say, 10 years? Where would you be? How good would you be at that thing? Well, you'd become a master at it. So it's just little bits of study every day. And so if you improve your mornings, what would mornings, look like if we could? I know with kids, and I get that, guys, raised 4 daughters. So, there's some flexibility in this. But when I improve my morning, a good morning would be exercise, studying, and eating well. Okay. And then I would add meditation or prayer. What do you want to call it? But this is where we get clarity. We cut the noise. What do we want to accomplish? What's the most important thing of the day? And that's going to start giving you clarity on what matters most so that when the day ends, the things that mattered most were accomplished. So improve your morning. Okay. All right. Number 4, one of my personal favorites. This is 225. Joe? Kind of related. We're going to do 2 tips here on one image. Master the forms. Memorize them. That's why we have a forms manual, because it makes it portable and easier for learning. We've noticed that when it's in the cloud and on the computer, it's kind of harder to study. So this asset of all these forms and the complexity of the language, the legal language, is really to your benefit. So make sure you become disciplined in memorizing them and go back and practice them. So I'm looking at the screen here. There's a lot of us that have been in the business a long, long time. If you haven't gone back and studied the forms lately, Roundtable is a good place for doing that, and your morning routine. So make sure you're memorizing where everything is. So let's just do a little test to see how we do here, okay? So in the REPC, there is a section in the REPC that says the REPC controls, that it supersedes and replaces any and all prior negotiations. Who can tell me what section that is? So it's pretty important language. It's telling everybody that no matter what we talked about on the front porch, on the back patio, over the phone, by email, whatever it was, the contract, the REPC controls. It's all powerful. It supersedes and replaces any and all prior negotiations. What section of the contract is that? Well, if you're kind of going, I don't know, then I think this is where, we need to study that, okay? And it will become one of your best assets that you have as an agent. The better you know the forms and legal language, the more valuable you are at solving problems. The client sees complexity and sees you as solution, which builds value. So study all of the forms, master the contract. The answer to that question was section 14, complete contract. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, so the next one, we'll stay on the screen, Joe, but related to that, this is number 5. Number 5 is present using the forms. Okay, so what we have down here is this exercise. So yeah, you're right there, Joe. Yep. It says, someone asks you a question. They say something like, let's see, do I have it in there? Let's say they say something like, what do I need to, my brother had to do all these repairs when he sold his house. I don't want to have to do that. Is there anything I should know about that? And you say, that's a really good question. Maybe we hear that a lot. Many sellers ask the same thing. You know what I think we may be able to do? If you go to 226, Joe, I think we should take a look at the agreement and let me show you what that says. Okay, so we're going to pivot from an audio presentation to a visual presentation, and we're going to say, see, you think what might be best is if I show you the actual document that addresses this. Now, you can use different words. I can say, let me show you the form, let me show you the addendum, let me show you the section, right? Let me show you the page, but let me get you to the image of the form. That's why we carry with us the forms in this book, like old school way. Sure, you can jump online, knock yourselves out. If the Wi-Fi is trouble, you're not going to do it. If you downloaded them, great. Got to go get them, right? I think the manual is very, very easy and simple. I can turn it around. I can show them. I can point to them, and I can present from it. Okay. So in this sample here, I've said, look at all the things that follow in the inspection rights for the buyer. We define what they can inspect. Okay. Everything in yellow is not really contractual terms. It's actually education. Okay, so because we're saying it's not limited to. Anytime we say, well, not limited to, it's like, well, this is like trying to get clarity. Okay, because they can really evaluate any and all things they deem necessary. Okay, and that's what it says. And notice that I'm using language from our agreements, and I think that's really good for you to have that in your vocabulary. Okay, so that's number 4 and 5. Okay, now let's go to number 6, and this is page 80. Is this helpful so far, you guys? Okay, I've been saying a lot about this, and my instincts are that we're not yet there committed to memorizing them. I'm sorry if you have committed to this, and here I am going back and playing the same greatest hits again. maybe this is the Stairway to Heaven song right here. Because it's a great song, but it's way overplayed, and I don't ever know that I choose to hear it, right? But it's a fantastic song. This one, I'm telling you, in the market right now, you really have to commit to memorizing these factors. When people ask what my house is going to sell for, or how long it will take, or even what the price should be, we really have to memorize these factors to be better presenters. Okay. When you present using structure, you present with clarity, and you start teaching instead of selling. And when you teach instead of sell, you give them choice. Okay. When you do that, you build trust. So, that's the pattern. Okay, so have structure to your presentation. So, you say, like, there's 7 factors we consider when we think about answering the question of how long it will take. That's the truth, by the way, also. And absent of that, we're really not being completely honest with them. Okay, so we're sometimes our own worst enemy, where we make it so, well, I'll pull the comparables and see. Well, that's okay, but comparables are not really the structure of the principles. The comparables are more the evidence. So where do they fit in the principle? Okay. So I've already talked a lot about the factors, so I'm not going to dig into all of them. Today, I'm saying I'm playing the greatest hits. And I would say this should be part of your memorization, and you should be able to give them back to anyone at any time. I think I'd like to walk through the offices, you guys, and just randomly give out maybe an Amazon gift card or something and say, give me the 7 factors, and whoever can give them, here's the gift card. Because it's very tied to how well you're going to present, and very tied to how you'll earn a living, because you'll have value. All right, number 7. Number 7 is not in the manual, so we'll just stay on this screen, Joe. There's no page for number 7. But this one, write this one down. This is, we need to be consistent. So I went on a run this morning. Lately, I've been really, really focused on getting back healthy. Thank goodness for, sunlight in the morning, or it's not dark at 6 in the morning. It's not dark. And thank goodness for nice, cool mornings, because it's just beautiful to get out and run and be outside. But I tell myself all the time, running 1 time a week is no exercise program, and that's not really healthy. 3 times a week, I always say to myself, is the minimum. When it comes to prospecting or trying to reach out to clients or disciplines, just remember the minimum is 3 a week. So think about bowling. Every time you get a strike, it compounds, right? So think about it this way. You were great at prospecting yesterday. If you really want that yesterday to count, make sure today counts. That's your second strike. You want today's strike to count? Make sure tomorrow is another strike. You see what I'm saying? Be consistent, because you need the energy and the momentum in your prospecting to equal what we're after, which is a good lead that will convert. If you're only prospecting well 3 times a week for an hour each time, it's likely not enough. Is it better than nothing? Well, of course it is. But think about bowling and think about consistency. Get those strikes lined up, one after another after another. I think ideally, for many of us, we want 3 hours every day, and we would like that 5 days a week. That would be fantastic. You get more leads than you can handle, get a partner, scale your business. You get more leads than you can handle, get an assistant, right? Delegate tasks, scale your business. So number 7 was think bowling, think consistency, okay? Line your strikes up. You want yesterday to count, bowl a strike today. You want today to count, bowl a strike tomorrow. All right, number 8, not in the manual, so no number here, but write this one down. My goodness, one of my very first mentors was a millionaire at 28 years old. And I've said this before, but he said, show up and be present. Okay, a lot of the battle of being successful in this business is being where you need to be. And we're in this weird, awkward phase where we're trying to figure out, is working from home effective? Can I do that effectively? Should I be, if I am going to be effective at working at home, how do I do that? Because we're at home and we're trying to be present at work. right? You see the dynamic. That's really challenging because you're going to be tempted to be at home and want to be doing things for home. And I know we're going to say, well, yeah, but it's my only option. Okay, if that's the case, then time block being present. Time block. So say for 2 hours, it's all about work. At the end of 2 hours, I go on to something else. So number 8 is showing up and being present. This was, like one mentor said, don't be at church thinking about work, and don't be at work, thinking about church, and don't be with the family when you're supposed to be with the family and you're thinking about work. And it just goes like this, right? Like, so be present. Otherwise, you'll miss the moment. You'll miss what the moment has for you. So number 8 is to show up and be present. Some of our agents, for them, have discovered that if they get up, leave the house, get to the office, work from their office, then they're more effective. Some of you who work from home will notice that there's a lot of distractions working from home. But if you're making it work, it's because you're trying to be present at work while you're working. And I think it's the same message, okay? All right, number 9. I couldn't help it. I had to take another jab at Zoom. I couldn't help myself. Please attend every in-person meeting you can. And that means something different for everybody, but attend in-person meetings when you can. When you attend a Zoom meeting, to be present and get something out of the Zoom meeting, the best way to do that is have your camera on and participate and be present in the Zoom meeting. What we don't want to do is think that we got, like we had let's compare it to a meal. Did you have lunch? Yes. Did you go to the Zoom meeting? Yes. Well, what did you consume when you were at lunch? If it wasn't anything that was healthy for you, you didn't get fulfilled. Okay. So just showing up and saying I'm at lunch doesn't fulfill you. And that's the danger of Zoom, because we check the box and go, well, yeah, I was able to go to the meeting. But were you really consuming something good? And it's hard to do that when we're multitasking. We've got multiple screens up. We're on our phones. We're social media. We're websiting. We're emailing. We're doing an offer. Well, we may have multitask, and I get that sometimes that is the thing. But if we do that too long, too often, the negative effects of Zoom start to peek in. There's great things about Zoom. I even actually, Joey, be proud of me. I recommended it today for agents who they were in different locations trying to have a team meeting. And they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm overwhelmed and I can't be there. And I'm like, well, get on Zoom. And they're like, whoa, what did Will say? And I said, well, it's actually really good they wanted to show a map of a subdivision that they're working on, and a plat map had just gotten preliminary approval. I said, it's actually great for that. You just need to make sure everyone's like paying attention to the meeting, right? And so, yeah, there's really good things about it. So, okay, enough of that. That was number 9. Number 10, let's go to page 37. I hope this is helping you guys. I'm trying to give you everything I can think of to help you have a better week and a better month and a better, quarter, and a lot goes into it. Okay, so this is a pattern of self-improvement. It kind of puts attitude at the beginning of it, because that's what affirmation is. Like, I can do this and believe that I can do something. This is the hexagon pattern. So when we're trying to really improve something, learn something new, like, Real Scout, Moxie, forms, financing aspects of the business, being better at CMA, being better at prospecting, scaling my business. Okay, if we start off and say, well, I'm not good at that, then we're going against the pattern of improvement. We want to start off and say, I can do that. And that's just the tip number 1. That's just like, affirmations and positive attitudes really matter about how we approach things. Okay, so that, just remember that I think you've got a pattern here for improvement. It's who can help me. Number 3, scheduling my very first task. Number 4, so getting in motion, even though I'm not ready. It doesn't matter. Just go, because some things you have to learn by doing it. Number 5, what do I need to learn? Like, how can I be better? So this is what I'm studying. And of course, it's hard to improve something we don't measure. So start tracking and measuring your progress. Okay, so that's the hexagon. That's number 37. Let's go to page 30. This is one of my favorites. I've said this before, but I could spend my entire life trying to understand these 4 principles because all of them are so important. Every single one of these principles are really important to us. I do think a lot of times we start off in wanting result. I've had agents say, my goal is to have 500,000 GCI. My goal is to have an income. So that's result. In front of that is action and disciplines. And then there's this gap between whether I believe it or not and what the hope and ideas were. The reason I pulled this one up today as our greatest hits is because I think it's important for all of us to understand when you get an idea, that's hope. It doesn't necessarily mean you believe what you just thought. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you know enough about what you just thought. And thinking it may need to go right into just doing it, right? And then having a belief in it. So these can kind of get mixed around. I think what I'm saying at the top here, it says use this to understand where you are. And I could say, well, where are you with what? Well, with idea, with action, with discipline. Where do you put results and how are all these things married to each other? The reason why there's gaps between hope and belief and action is because they don't just happen, right? There's a lot of people who do things they don't yet believe in, and then they believe them later. But there is no gap between the cause and effect. You see, action, result, cause, effect. Like, even if I only prospected for one day, there's still an effect of that. I would be a lot better if I got 3 strikes in a row and I would have a better result. But no question that there's an effect to everything I do. Okay. So I've often said, like, do open houses. If you say I don't believe in them, well, go to the hexagon. If you say I don't believe them, look at belief. Belief's not required for action. There's just a gap. That's why there's a gap there. So just go do them and see how well you do, and try to do them with a good attitude. Okay, that's number 11, right? Okay, now let's go to page 141. How are we doing so far? I hope this is helpful. 141 is, again, one of my favorites. We talk a lot about statistics. I want you to remember that you need to bring context to the content of the data, okay? So when I'm saying it's ultimately will come to this, we're talking about building relationship that they see a value in you and they trust you. Well, don't assume that they can translate the data that they see. Matter of fact, you should assume they cannot at all. They do not know what it means, okay? So I've said knowledge is nice, knowledge is the data, but wisdom is why it matters. So always be thinking, what does it say to a buyer who may be thinking about buying, and what does it say to a seller who might be thinking of selling? Do not assume that they get it. Make the translation. Tell them what it means. Okay, so that's context over content. Everyone has content, but only the wisdom and the wise are bringing the context. Okay, really, really important. Think of your social media posts and the data that you're having when you're connecting with people. Make sense of the data. Okay. All right, number 13, getting kind of down to the end here. Let's go to page 200. Again, one of my personal favorites. Right, Leslie, right. Yeah, there's plenty of voices on data. They're going to say the data. Do they know what it means? You know what it means. Okay, you're the professional. You're the doctor, right? So I've often used the medical checkup as the analogy or example to weigh on. We've all gone in and had a technician, do a test, and the technician will not tell you what the data means, but the doctor can. So be the physician when it comes to data. Okay, so this one is don't take yourself so seriously. Like it's okay to laugh. And if you go into listing appointments serious, we have an unintended consequence often of scaring people because it becomes so heavy. Laughter and humor, when appropriately given, not in overdoses, but in appropriate amounts, calms people down. And I think you should be okay to laugh at yourself. You know, I mean, I think that's a really good thing to remember. You know, like don't take life too seriously, and don't take real estate too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. I put on here because Kevin was really good at doing 180 humor. He would go down a road and then he would just do a 180, and everyone would laugh. And but what the effect of it is that you knew that first Kevin was calm and confident in what he was saying, and that's the effect of humor. You know, Joan Pate in her listing presentation, listen carefully, when she starts going through the listing presentation, there's a section on testimonials. And she just points out that these are some recent clients that she's worked with that had similar situation that they do. So she selected some and she put them in the front 3 pages that were similar to their situation. And then she says, and I only had to pay them $300 a piece. Okay. Humor, right? So serious, but then humor. Everyone calms down. The temperature comes down, right? They're free to feel okay. It relaxes people, okay? Arnold Stringham would say all the time, no one's learning anything unless they're laughing, Will. And I've heard one of my speaking mentors said, the adult human brain is not learning if they're not entertained. So there's a piece of listing presentations where I think, we want to be human, we want to be approachable, we want to be authentic, we don't want to be scripted, we don't want to be robotic, right? We want to be caring and patient and flexible, and all these things go into that. And I think we also need to be okay to laugh. Okay. How about this? We've got a few minutes left. That was my greatest hits as of now. I probably could go on and on and on, but let me turn the time over to you guys to teach each other about what you think the greatest tips in real estate are. Like, what are you learning that you're like, yep, that's something, I really need to do. And I've always tried to remember. What are your greatest tips? Yeah, I'll always listen. Great. We brought that up with the overcoming objections. Remember, Bob was like, hey, I just try to remind myself to listen. Excellent. Hey, how's Sandy doing, by the way? Hope you're doing well. That's good to hear from you. Yeah, consistency, and you figure out what works for you. Once you figure that out, it is all just about being disciplined on a consistent basis. That's the bowling analogy. Bowl the strikes, one after another. Love that, Sandy. So see things from my client's point of view. Yeah, when we're talking about why it matters, we're talking about why it matters for them. So good point. And glad to hear you're doing good, Sandy. Bev says, be compassionate. We really do need to be able to be heartfelt when we talk to people, that we're more interested in what's better for them than any kind of sale or closing or monies or commissions and all of that. That will always win. So excellent point, Bev, and no surprise that that's what you think of. You're very good at that. John says, communicate clearly, honestly, and often. We got moving targets and things change a lot. That's excellent advice. When we miscommunicate or don't communicate enough, assumptions are made. And this is often where expectations are not met or improperly set. And then we have someone upset for no reason. And now we're managing something else now. So really good advice to communicate often and clearly. Excellent advice. Okay, going down here. Be yourself and don't try to act like someone you're not. So true. The best TED Talks ever have been people that were not perfectly scripted, but they were very authentic and owned who they were. And it's a great study of how people respond to authenticity. And that's an excellent point. Just be you. All right. Yeah, Angie, very good. So we started off with is being humble and teachable is really, I think, the solution to so many of problems in life. I always say, I told Callie, my youngest daughter, the one who just gave birth to my second grandson and my sixth grandchild. When she was a teenager, I'd say all the time, Callie, remember, be teachable. And she'd be like, I know, Dad. I'm like, well, I know is the closed door to I'm ready to learn something, right? I know is probably the most dangerous thing we could say. And I would just roll my eyes. But yeah, I raised 4 daughters, you guys. I deserve a medal for that. Well, my wife deserves the gold medal, but I was a participant. I mean, I cheered her on. So let's see what I have learned in my small amount of time so far is to listen to what the clients and not assume that I know what they're thinking. Yep. Good thing my wife is here to save me from myself. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Chris, I think, look, just men in general, we're very finish line focused, and it's a fantastic trait of ours. And so that's where the pause comes in. We get clarity. We say, can you explain a little bit more? We repeat back things. This is objection handling techniques too, but just having conversations with people, really good to have questions, because questions allow you to listen more. And when you slow down and have clarity, that's where the connection starts to happen. So it's really good when we can take the male focus of finish line, but inject the pausing along the way. Boy, we've got a fantastic way to look at business. So excellent statement. Yeah, I think be genuine. Being genuine is one of the ways that just reminded me of how we legally describe what it means to be of good faith. You ever heard they violated the good faith of the contract? Well, being genuine and having good faith and having fair dealings are all connected. So being genuine is that we genuinely want the outcome that they want, and we're working towards that. So it's excellent. And the law says the same thing. Leslie, don't beat yourself up over your mistakes. Yep. Yep. There are opportunities to learn. Excellent. We're always a student. I really think that, and I'm using failure. I'll say failures, but that's a funny word, but I think failed transactions can be way more valuable than the closed transactions. So failures can be more than finish lines. And as long as we learn from them and then we apply what we learned, they can be very, very valuable. Try, fail, learn, then we're improving, right? So remember that, and don't beat yourself up. Sometimes things just work out that are they're not meant to be. It has nothing to do with the job you did or what you said or anything that you did. If you did make a mistake in it, well, we learn from it. And there are many times I've said we're learning a lesson here. Sometimes we're learning lessons without having to pay damages. And that's nice. That happens every once in a while. So, but we're not going to beat ourselves up. We're just going to learn from it, move on. Yeah, I think that's true, Paige. I mean, I think maybe learning how to win is also a trait too. Didn't you love what Steve Jr. said, where we were showing the market share reports, and he said, let's be humble in victory as we are in defeat. He's saying he was repeating what he says to his lacrosse team that he coaches. And I think that was excellent. We can learn a lot from, I think we can learn how to win, but I think that we learn a lot more from mistakes than if we're learning than we do from successes. And so very well said. Anything else? Come on, you guys are so good at what you do. So let's hear some more greatest hits. Spin that wheel, spin that table. Nothing? Okay. All right, let's see if anything else comes to me, and then we'll wrap it up here. Well, oh my goodness, there's so much I could talk about right now. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. There'll be more for next week. You guys, thanks for joining me today. I mean, it's really a pleasure for me to I just think about how I can help you every day. If you guys need anything from me, reach out. You want some one-on-one time, happy to help you. It's my fulfillment and my best payday is to help you. So know that. If we go out there and just simply love our clients and go back through this list and think, which one of these should I amplify? Which one of these needs more emphasis? Like, what can I do better here? But do it with positivity. Don't be hard on yourself. And you got to be okay to laugh at yourself along the way as well. Okay. So, hey, Jennifer and Courtney just came into the room. I'm going to ask them to come join me before we sign off. So, Jen, Court, come step in the camera.
Okay. We'd love to.
I know. I didn't really give them a choice, you guys.
No,
They were-
we did not give us a choice.
They were trying to hide. But yeah, Courtney and Jen, you guys know Courtney and Jennifer. So, greatest song of all time.
Oh, Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Really, Here Comes the Sun.
Yep.
Yeah, we did say Beatles early. Yeah, look at Joe. He's like, he totally agrees. It's a very positive song.
It
The
is.
melody line is catchy.
Yep.
Lyrics are good.
It always comes on when I need it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's in the morning, I find myself singing it because
do?
I'm like, oh, look, here comes the sun. And then next thing you know, I can't get it out of my head.
It's one of those.
Okay, Jen, what do you think?
That's too hard for me. I don't know.
Just
I grew up with the 80s and the 90s.
Well, let's
so I
hear
like, 80s rock. So
Okay, so-
anything-
all right. What?
Oh,
Skid Row. You're thinking Skid
no,
Row.
No, she's more of an alternative.
no, more like alternative rock. Yeah,
Like what?
I just like radio. Anything on the radio.
She has a vast array of music.
Yeah, I'm not very good with songs. I always lose the song game. So
We can sing one.
I'm not gonna sing. one.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and sing one for
Yeah,
us?
no, I'm 80s rock. I just love anything 80s rock. It's just anything that I can sing to. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love 80s rock as long as it has a lot of guitar.
Yeah.
It was fun to learn. Hey, you guys, thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. I hope this helped you today. Go out there and have a fantastic day. Have a great Memorial Day weekend with your family. Be safe. If you need any help, let me know. Yeah, Monique, I love it. Don't stop believing. Excellent song. Yep. And belief is a big deal. Okay, Joe, you can